I don't know anything about cloud security, so I had to get a professional. But Dave, let's kick it off by asking you, what do you do now, and how long have you been doing it?
Currently work as a cloud threat detection engineer at Datadog. I've been there since March 2022, so just about 4 months now, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
What were you doing before that?
So I was working in security operations. I was a threat analyst, working something you would consider similar to a Soc Analyst. So pretty much doing like threat analysis, security operations, and all of those things.
How long were you doing that for?
I did that for about a year and 3-4 months. Started from like an internship, got my first full-time job as a SOC analyst, and then pivoted to another role where I was working as a threat analyst 1. Got promoted like after 4 months to threat analyst 2. So the whole experience was just about a little over a year, 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
So wait, was that your first job in tech?
My first job was an internship, a security internship. So I got that like right after like freshman year of college. So I was doing security operations, basically phishing analysis. Did a little bit of that was my first introduction to Azure. So I did a little bit of like Azure security, endpoint security, all of those things. So that was kind of what gave me like my introduction to security.
Freshman in college, isn't that like, because you're super young, isn't that like last year?
That was 20. So I started freshman year 2019, and then end of freshman year was 2020.
How did you land an internship in security as a freshman?
See, that's a really good question because it typically is hard to land internships in general, and to land security internships specifically after freshman year. So I was in like this community, and I was seeing a bunch of people just like getting internships. It was like big internships, so, like Google, Microsoft, all these big companies. It's like I want to get an internship, and like I really like studied the security industry, and I realized that it's really hard to get into the industry. And one of the best ways is to leverage internships. And I was like, if I could get an internship my freshman year, then like I would have like, if I could get an internship my freshman year and just do internships for the rest of the 4 years, I would have at least 3-4 years of experience by the time I'm graduating. And like I wouldn't have the issue of like, I don't have experience, so I can't get a job. So I was like, I'm gonna do everything to get, even if it was not a security internship, if it's like a help desk job that I could use to get experience, I was gonna use that to leverage and get like a better job. So I was like applying for any job, and I was like doing training, like certification, just studying, doing projects, and like it took me like over like 150 applications and like multiple like failed interviews because I sucked at interviewing. Like I didn't know anything about interviewing, but like when you fail a couple of times, you start realizing like what is necessary to like pass those interviews and like what employers are really looking for. So I kind of really studied the game, understood like what exactly employers are looking for. Did a couple of interviews, failed at them, and then when I got the interview opportunity for that internship, I was like, I gotta kill this one. Like I gotta get this one. This has to be the one. Studied really hard for it. The interview, got the job, and used that as leverage to get my first full-time job after 6 months.
You turned a 6-month internship into a full-time job.
Yeah.
And then you did that for a little bit over a year, and now you're at Datadog.
Yes.
That's crazy. I hope you know that. Like the other day, I found out actually how young you are, and I'm just like, how? But okay, so I get it. Mm-hmm. You were super dedicated your first year. Like I gotta land an internship no matter what and no matter where I start, which I feel like is a mindset that not a lot of people have because they want to go straight into class, straight into engineering, software dev, and they want to skip everything else because I don't know. I feel like support roles get maybe like a bad rep or something like that, but I feel like they close themselves off to a lot because if you put in a good year at like any kind of entry level job, that can take you anywhere.
No,
like,
totally agree. I think like especially now with the availability of like cloud support roles for AWS, Azure, or GCP, I think that is a really good entryway into like cybersecurity because like you get to like see a lot of things and like work with a lot of like services, technologies, and when you really understand those services and like those technologies or the cloud environment in depth, it really makes the security aspect a lot easier because like you understand the fundamental like architecture, administration, all of that stuff, and like figuring out like how an attacker would exploit something in that thing would be easier for you because you know how everything works about it. And then you can, okay, this is how I can secure this, or this is how I can detect against this particular thing. And I think like right now with the way like you can easily just like do a bunch of projects, future skills, and land a cloud support role, that could be a really good way for people to like transition into cloud security.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like it's your entry level to then step into what other discipline. And I guess that it makes sense because I'm thinking about me, like I'm trying to learn more about security. And I guess if I sort of shaped it around like a niche that I'm good at, so I use a lot of like serverless technologies. If my next step was like, all right, how do I secure these things that I work with every single day? I feel like that's easier than just going like completely, first step, like broad level security.
Yeah.
Right? Like approaching it from something that I'm already familiar with. I like that. I'm going to give that a try.
Yeah.
So you mentioned certifications. What was like, when you were applying for internships, what certifications did you already have? And then which ones do you have now? And which ones do you think actually matter?
Yeah. So when I was applying for internships, so the first one I got was the CompTIA A+, right? Pretty generic, right? But like for me, it was like I needed to do that certification. Like I needed to go through that process because I failed in my first attempt. So I needed to go through that process of failing it and like getting that certification, is going through like that grit of like really studying and trying to pass the certification for everything else to like just fall in line, because that was like what, like it wasn't even really the certification, it was just like the process of like studying and just like really like getting down the methodology of like learning concepts and like building those skills that like, you know, build the foundation for everything else. So like just that process of like studying. So I got the A+ around like June or July in 2020. And then I got the Network Plus like 30 days after. So like it just took me 30 days to get Network Plus.
Like
nonstop. Like I was
went right into it.
And this was like during the pandemic, right? So like I'd lost my job like December of the previous year, and I was mad. I was like pretty depressed. I was like, I have to find something, and it wasn't really about the money, right? It was more about like I have to start working because I just didn't feel comfortable with like not working, and I was like, I'm passionate about cybersecurity. I want to get the experience. I want to get, even if it's like a help desk job. And I was like, the A+ is a good way to start. Like it's the foundation for everything. Like it didn't matter if I didn't get a cybersecurity job. So I was like A+. Then I realized like a lot of everything is like really surrounded around networking. Like whether you're doing cloud or security, like networking is like central to all of these things. So I was like, Network Plus, next thing, right? And that covered like the networking aspect for me. Like that was like the foundation for the rest of my career. So at the time I actually got my internship, I had plus the A+. I was studying for the Network Plus when I was interviewing for the internship, and I had just passed the Network Plus right after I got the offer for the internship. And then literally my first day of my internship, like one of my senior engineers like gave me a Security Plus textbook. It was like, hey, this is all you need to pass a Security Plus. Go study this and go take a Security Plus. And like I took that book, read it cover to cover, and like took the Security Plus like 3 months after. So those were my first couple of certifications, like how they played out. Afterwards, I did, what other certification did I do? I just started doing a bunch of training, honestly, after then, because I was like, I didn't just want to like just get certifications. I was getting the skills, but like I really wanted to start doing like hands-on training. So spent a lot of time doing that. Then I got like the Azure fundamentals, got the Splunk core user, because I wanted to join a company that was using Splunk, and I felt like if I had a Splunk certification, that would help me understand Splunk better and just be more marketable with the skill. I did a CompTIA CYIC Plus, which is a cybersecurity analyst one. Did an AWS Cloud Practitioner, Linux Fundamentals. I know you did that one. And most recently, actually in January, I did the Blue Team Level 1, which was like a 24-hour security incident response certification. And for me, that I don't want to say like that was one that really mattered, because I don't want to discount like the level of effort and like the impact those other certifications had in my career. But that particular certification was, if I were to do it all over again, I'd probably just do just that one, and maybe the Network Plus, because that's important. But that certification, especially for if you want to get into like security operations, it's like the best thing I can recommend for you, because it covers everything and it's hands-on. I know I had a tweet recently about like hands-on like cloud certifications and how they were valuable. It covered everything that I would want for a security operations certification that would like be necessary for me to get a security analyst job. And that's the one.
All right, everyone. So in terms of certifications, that's what you would recommend. So if someone was like trying to get into security, you would say put a lot more effort into like, what'd you say, blue team level 1?
Yes.
All right. Instead, not that the other ones don't matter. And I guess it depends on where everyone's at. Because like if someone is completely new to tech, I could see how the A+ is useful. But I'm going to assume that people here are interested in security. So that's a good one to start. You also mentioned like doing labs and projects and trainings and things that aren't necessarily tied to certifications. Is there any like specific projects that stand out to you that you think people can try and like maybe put on their resume? Is GitHub important when it comes to building a portfolio or like standing out for jobs in security?
Yeah, so it's a packed question. But like, there were several things. So personally for me, it was my cybersecurity home lab project, which to this day is number one. If you do a Google search for cybersecurity home lab, it's number one on Google search. It's been that way for about a year. So that was like the biggest project that had like the most impact on like my entire career. And like in a way was part of like how I got a Datadog now. I could tell that story later. But that was like the biggest project because I spent so much time on that project. Like it took me months because I had to do it like 3 times. So I had to do it. I had to figure out how I wanted the project to be. Then I had to document it on my blog, and I had to do a video for it, like a video series for it. So I did it three times. Yeah. But it had the most impact on like building my knowledge and like really like in like the core security concepts and like really building my skills in general. But like it wouldn't be the same for everyone, right? If you're doing like, for example, like that, my experience has been like security operations. If you're going into like pen testing, like which is like the offensive side where you're like hacking stuff, like you might have a different project. Like your project might be like building a offensive security tool in like Python, and that would be like where like your GitHub would matter because like that would be where you start the code. But if you're doing something like that project I did, it might not be GitHub. It might be like your blog or like your YouTube channel or something else. So like it really depends on like what you're interested in security. And if it was a cloud security project, it would be different, right? Like you'd have video. You might even have like a GitHub repo for like some code that you use, or like maybe you use like Terraform for the environment. So like it really depends on like what project you work in. But I think especially when you're starting out, like it's usually that one like project or that one thing or just a couple of things that you put so much time and effort into. So I'd say find a problem that you think is like something that is going to help you learn multiple skills or even like a specific skill and go solve that problem. And for me, it was like I didn't see. There were so many cybersecurity home lab projects out there, but nothing was really consolidated and really like solved the problem I had. I was like, I'm gonna go build this, and I built it, and like it's helped like tons of people. Like I get people telling me, like this project really helped me like when I was trying to get a security job, stuff like that. So, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be cybersecurity home lab. It could be anything, right? Whether you're interested in like security operations, incident response, pen testing, find a problem, solve it, and document it and share it. Like let people see it. Like flaunt it everywhere.
I love that. So I'll add that project to the description, the link there, so people can check that out. I think, I think in all areas of tech, but being able to communicate, I think especially in security, is like a massive ability and skill. And I think one thing someone told me, who I can't remember what area of security they're in, but they were saying every time when a massive company has some sort of hack, there are always like analysis. What are they called? Like the next day, I forget. There's a specific name about like incident, and they'll do reports and stuff right. So they were telling me like if you really wanted to sort of become, you kind of like reverse engineer it.
Yes.
Like you go grab the report, analyze it, and then sort of explain it in your own ways. But then you're gonna find yourself going down like a bunch of rabbit holes. Because in order to like explain things in a concise way, like those reports are, you got to really know what you're talking about. Yes. So that might be another recommendation for people. Like, go check out these reports that come out because hacks happen every day.
Every second.
Every second. Go. Figure this out. Like for example, I tell people who want to learn how to build stuff in the cloud, like go find the architecture diagrams and build them out. Be able to speak to them because a lot of this stuff is already out there. You don't really have to like invent or come up with some new original idea. A lot of it is just like kind of like repetition and things that are done differently. Maybe it's a different server or things like that. So there are a couple ideas for people who are trying to get a little bit more hands-on with security. I want to talk about Datadog. What was So I want to talk about how you got there and also what the interview process was like.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite the story. So it started from last year, August. So at this time I was sharing like all of my projects I was working on Twitter. So I used to share it on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Like I was everywhere, like showing everything I was working on. So and then people follow me and all of that, like comment on my stuff. And then my manager, he had connected with me on Twitter, and he was like really impressed with the project I was working on. And he's like, there could be a potential internship opportunity on their team for that summer if I was interested. And then I was like, at that point, I had two offers. So I had one offer for my last job for the threat analyst position, and I had an offer from Intel for a security engineering position. I was actually like trying to like figure out which one I wanted to take.
That's a big name right there.
Yeah. So, but I was like, I eventually accepted the offer from my last position, and then, but I was like, let's definitely like keep in touch, just for future purposes. So I connected with him on LinkedIn, and like we didn't have any conversations for like about 6 months, and I saw him. So then like 6 months later, I was at my job, right? I had gotten promoted to like threat analyst 2, and I was like, I really want to get into cloud security. And at this time, I did a video on it on my channel to share my goals and my plans, like how I was going to transition to cloud security by the end of 2022, like everything I was going to do. And then I started talking about cloud security, just doing projects and like stuff like that. And then he had posted a position about a security engineering position, like for like one of their teams on LinkedIn. And I reached out to him. I was like, hey, like, I would like to have a conversation about this position. He was like, yeah, sure. We had a Zoom call and we talked, but I wasn't really a good fit for that position. So I actually just told him, I was like, I don't think I have the skills for this position. But he was like, there's actually another position coming up that I think he thought I would be a better fit for. So like, just send me a resume. So I sent my resume, and like after for a while, there was like some hiring like things going on. So like I didn't really the hire, there was like a hiring phrase or something like that. Don't quote me on that because I'm not exactly sure what happened.
Yeah.
But so my resume was just kind of hanging there for a while. But then like after a while, he like just reached out, like, hey, like you're gonna get like a recruiter reach out to you. So it's in January. So the whole process kicked off in January, and so I got the recruiter call, had a conversation. Then they set me up for like a loop interview. So like it was like 4 interviews back to back. And for me, like it was the only interview that I've done. Actually, not the only one, but one of the only interviews I've done that actually made sense. In the sense that, like not people just asking you questions about, oh, what is like, CIA or stuff like that. Like asking you questions that actually relate to what you're going to be doing in your job. And there was also like a threat modeling one, which is really, really cool. Like just walking through an attack scenario against the cloud environment and like how you would like, defend against that, or how you would like compromise the cloud environment. So like it just made sense because that's like what I do on a day-to-day basis. So had an interview with my director. So really great interview process. Really challenging interview process though. But the whole process went by, and like after like a week, got the offer, and then started in March. That's kind of the whole story.
Yeah, now it's been 4 months. So your goal was to get into cloud security by the end of this year, and you like smashed it at like the first month, like literally. Yeah, which is that's freaking awesome. I know. Are you still at WGU? Are you still doing WGU?
Yeah. So I literally today.
I saw that. So
just paid my tuition after like 6 months of like not being in school.
You took a break?
I took a break. Yeah.
Which is great so I get a lot of questions about the WGU cloud because they have now tracks for AWS and Azure, and I get a lot of questions about the Azure curriculum. I'm a fan of WGU. I was considering going back if I had more time. I don't know how you do it, dude. How do you work full time? We'll talk about that in a little bit, but and I know now you're mentioning that you went on a break, but I'm curious about like your experience with WGU and what's your opinion on but you've changed programs, right? Like, yeah, did you start in security?
I started in network operations and security, which is different from the cybersecurity path. And then I switched to the cloud program in December. I was supposed to start that in January when I took my break, but it didn't eventually happen. But before starting back up this month, I switched to the IT program because I'm just trying to finish it as fast as possible.
Interesting. So, like, what's your opinion on getting? You just wanted to get the degree because you started already, or like, what's the mindset around that?
So like I was going to do the cloud program because I was like, I'm trying to get into cloud. I was trying to get into cloud at that time. I was like, the certifications, the program is perfect for like building those skills and like doing those projects and certifications. But now it's like I'm in cloud. I just want to get the degree and like focus on my job.
Interesting. So, but you don't have plans to like drop it. How much time do you have left?
So it depends.
Yeah, because I know with WG it's like as much as you can take on. I've seen people fly through some of these programs, but
I plan to finish it in the next 6 months.
everything.
Everything.
How many? What is it? Credits? Like, do you have left? No, what is it? Like,
Credit units.
yeah. How many credit units do you have left?
I think about 24, but like I'm like 63% done.
Oh, okay.
So
All right, that's not correct because I see people shove like the whole thing in 6 months, and I was just like, oh my goodness. I mean, I guess it's doable if like you have the motivation and stuff like that. But that leads me to my last question is, how do you? Because you're doing videos like every week now. I think like and you have 2 channels. You got your Discord because you also have like your like Academy dedicated channel where you do like just strictly tutorials, which I'm also going to link because I think those labs are fantastic. So you're balancing full-time work. I consider it full-time YouTube because it's one video, it doesn't mean like you only do it like once a day. Like working on videos is like an everyday thing. And then everything else outside of work, 'cause I know you're like big into fitness and then you're obviously you're traveling here and stuff like that. So what's like, give everyone your best, I guess, tips for managing time and how do you become so disciplined?
yeah, I mean, for me, it's just about like, I don't want to sound like cliche and sound like a motivational speaker, like all the cliche things. But I mean, it's just about like prioritization. So like at every point in like every stage in life, I have like specific priorities, right? Like for the last 6 months, school was not my priority, so I was focusing on like my work, my job, and like just understanding like certain concepts in relation to like cloud security and like how that applies to like my job and everything like that. So like that was not a priority at that time. So for me, it's just like priorities and like planning your life, and this might be weird to say, in like sprints. So it's something I started doing recently. So basically, like every 3 months or every 4 months is a sprint where you like focus on like specific things that you really want to achieve, and like smart goals, right? So goals that are like clearly defined and achievable, and then they have like a pretty reasonable timeline. So like let's say first 4 months, I want to get my solutions architect certification, right? That's a reasonable goal to have for the first 4 months. And alongside that, I'm gonna be focusing on like one class per month in WG or one class every 2 months, right? Just have those clearly defined goals and just like stick to them, and then like be flexible with your goals. Like if there's something that you can achieve, like feel free to like spread out your goals longer. But like also just really try to be dedicated and cut out as many distractions as possible. I had a period of my life where I didn't have social media for 6 months, and like it helped me get so much done. Like I was able to get like my WGU program like at least like almost half of it done in that period of time. Started getting into fitness at that time. So if it means like cutting out certain things for a specific period of time, so you have more time to do what really matters, like in the end, it wouldn't, like those things, like you can always get those things back. Like I could always get my social media back, like eventually. Like, for me, like of course YouTube is like a big priority, but like if I have to like reduce like my content like to like maybe once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks, like I'll do that so I can focus in school. So like just prioritize, what matters, and like, cut out distractions, and just try to be disciplined. Like it's really hard to like be disciplined, especially when you have so many things you're doing. But I think if you like just have that passion, that drive, and like you're a hustler, like, like you can just like thug it out and just like get things done. And another thing to just like, I don't know if this is like scientifically proven, but like if you like motivation to do stuff, just like start going to the gym. Like it just really pushes you to like, especially when you like, make PRs or like just like do hard stuff, like it really just like pushes you mentally to just be able to like have like grit to like go through like really like, you know, difficult periods where you have so much going on, but you know, like at the end of it, like you just come out a lot more fulfilled. So all of those things combined is what really helps me. And also, as much as possible, try to sleep. It might be like you might feel like, oh, like because I'm doing all these things, like I'm gonna only sleep like 2 hours a day.
Yeah,
like
sleep when you're dead.
yeah, like it's not gonna work. Like I've found that out the hard way. Getting like good 7 hours of sleep can really help you be productive. But the key to being productive is like actually doing work when you're supposed to work. So like if you're working, like don't be on your phone. Yeah, like don't like context switch. Like spend that 1 hour focusing on like that task, get it done, and move on to the next thing. That way, like you can be really productive. So cut out distractions, prioritize. You know, start going to the gym and sleep well and eat well.
There you go. All these things are like non-tech related, and I think we tend to focus so much on like bullet points on a resume, or like I need to learn Kubernetes, and then tomorrow I need to learn this and this and that, and we forget that our ability to do that is because we're humans, and you know what makes us humans is all these things like you mentioned: eat well, sleep well, you know, exercise, move frequently, and have. I'm assuming you have a morning routine.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I think that's super important. Like, I want like biggest tip for me is like start your day, but don't immediately make it about work. Like I don't start work until like 9 a.m, but I'm up by 7. So there's 2 hours that's just like on my priority. I think that's important too. Man, you gave so much great advice. That's awesome. I'm gonna put all your links in the description. And any last words you want to share? This video is going to be hella long, but I think people are going to like this. Yeah. So, but any last words you want to share with people who want to get into, I guess, tech in general and like security?
Yeah, I always like to tell people this. I said it in like the last like podcast I was featured on. Like, especially for people like me, if you're young, you know, maybe from like a minority group or like whatever it is, like there are no like barriers to like breaking into tech. Whatever it is you want to do, like cybersecurity, cloud, like DevOps, whatever it is you want to get into, like there are no barriers. Like your age is not a barrier. Like I got into this like when I was 18, like and it never stopped me from like, you know, working in great positions, earning, you know, great salaries. So like don't ever put any limitations on yourself for like the possibilities of what you can do. Like, you know, getting into the industry like as a freshman, like or even like right out of high school, like the only limitation to like your progress and to like your entry into tech is yourself, and like you only go as far as like whatever limits you set for yourself. So like there are no, you know, barriers, there are no like limitations. Like just like put in the work, right, and you know, be consistent, and like you eventually like get what you want to get. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I think the way we think of ourselves is really the only limit that we have. All right. Thank you so much, man. We could go on for like a really long time, but whenever you're back, I'm gonna interview you every time you come to New York, because I know you come here like what every quarter, and then we'll have like a playlist or something going on. But that would be awesome. But I appreciate this, and have all his links in the description. Peace out, everyone. Yeah.